is really where it started. And then I know in elementary school, people will probably find this shocking. I actually had to take speech classes because I would get nervous and anxious, and you know how you kind of like fly off at the mouth a lot. So I had to go to speech classes just to help me just kind of like calm down things and slow down my tempo. And I'll say this as an advocate of public television, growing up watching the Dick Cavett show on public television was really helpful for me, because if anyone ever saw that, his interview style was very deliberate, very intentional, and he was able to control his tempo so people could understand. So I kind of gleaned a little bit of my whatever linguistics from there. And last but not least, if you remember Ed Bradley from 60 Minutes, and Ed Bradley actually visited our elementary school when I was in 6th grade, but his interview style was very similar. So I kind of borrowed a little bit from those two, and that helped me with my public speaking. And then you know how speaking helps with your reading and all those types of things. That's really how it happened. I thank you for saying prolific. I look at it like this: I'm good at what I do, and each day what is one thing I can do to get a little bit better. So if I get a little bit better, I can be more proficient. And kind of how we were talking a little bit earlier offline, it's the whole fish cast, you know, having a bigger net so you can catch more fish.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I like my salmon and trout and crappie and some of those other types of fish. So that's really where it all stems from home, the commitment to education, and just committing to doing what I can to get a little bit better.
I never knew you did speech therapy before.
Yeah.
Like, you just made me realize I wasn't raised correctly, because it was the fear of God, okay, that taught me how to slow down. I'll be in church and I'm reading something, or I'm the worship leader, and my grandmother would be standing back like Joe Jackson looking at me like, slow down. Slow down. So I really just needed a therapist, okay? I didn't know, but now I understand.
There's different ways of doing it, I think, and I was involved in other stuff where you had to speak in public.
Yeah.
Like, many a person who went to church, you had to say stuff.
It's so different now.
I was actually in the choir, and then I was in the church choir, in like the choir in school, and then
you're probably a solid alto.
I played mezzo, whatever you call it. And then I played starting in elementary school, 5th grade, I started playing trombone. So in playing that, and you're playing, you know, in concerts, and every once in a while you get a solo and all that type of thing. So there were different things that kind of pushed me to where you have to do better. But I'll tell anybody, if you have access to resources, whether they're formal or informal, that are going to help you, then try to utilize them. I'll just take them a step further. To deny access to resources means you're denying access to opportunities, and I that can be a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
No, absolutely.
So I'm just going to leave it there. Don't deny access to resources, because in doing that, you're denying access to growth opportunities, whether it's speaking or creative thinking, or someone who wants to open a business or open up a bookstore or whatever. Don't deny access.
No, we love that. We definitely appreciate that jump. And you were talking about playing trombone and different things. And so one of the things that I know you for is sports. I never asked you if you ever played sports.
Yeah.
But I do know that you cover sports. So talk to us a little bit about how you, if you ever played sports, and then how did you become a profound media? Every word I'm gonna use for you is profound, because that's what you are in all aspects. So have you ever played, and if so, what sports did you play?
Yeah, well, you know what? They say don't block your blessings, so I'm going to accept this whole profound piece. So let's give a warm round of applause for someone recognizing a gift in me that I did not see myself. In regards to sports, growing up, like a lot of kids, I played baseball, basketball, soccer. On the high school level, I did letter in soccer, but arguably my other letter was in track. And I'll say this, looking back, I regret I didn't get started sooner. So in track, I ran the 100, the 200, the 400, And then we had indoor season. I actually ran the 55 hurdles. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Let's just say I cleared the hurdles and I got a faster split. So the backstory on me running the hurdles was we had practice. We had 6 people who hurdled, 3 people had injuries, and you need 4 in order to do the shuttles. So me and my sympathetic self was like, oh, it's a shame you guys can't run the meet. I'd help you out if I could, not realizing the assistant coach who handled hurdles was sitting right where you are, who told the head coach. So they're like, you need to get off of whatever, and you're going to do hurdles. So I trained on the hurdles for 2 days. I did have a faster split than one of the people who actually ran, but I retired the very next day from the hurdles, and I stuck. Probably, honestly, my best event was probably the 200. The 200 was probably my best event for sure.
Yeah, no, totally. I have enough time just trying to get through the hurdles of life. So I never really been a big hurdle girl myself, okay? And so now back to sports, okay?
Yeah.
You cover everything. You cover from hockey games to seeing the fights up close and personal.
Oh, yeah.
You see the baseball games. You do the football games. So talk to us a little bit about that, because you also have a book, your 3rd book actually, that is based on the athletes.
Yeah, so on the press and media end, in regards to sports coverage, I am credentialed to cover college football. So I cover where I went to college, Wake Forest University. I've covered them since 2019. I've covered college baseball, especially HBCU baseball. So whether it's through Black College Sports Group 360, based out of Chicago, who does a lot of the classic events, I've been able to cover some of their events that have taken place, like in Birmingham, Nashville, Dallas, Texas, Jacksonville, Florida, and then earlier, actually last month for Major League Baseball All-Star Weekend, I covered the Swingman Classic, which is spearheaded by Ken Griffey Jr. So that's the HBCU All-Star game of the top 50 players on all levels, primarily Division I HBCUs, but this year the Impact Award recipient is the first non-Division I winner, and he's a student at Morehouse College, and he's actually from the greater Maryland area. So again, HBCU sports. In regards to hockey, the East Coast Hockey League, which is 2 levels below the NHL, so the team that I cover, the Atlanta Gladiators, they eventually feed into the National Predators of the NHL. My colleague Deidre Walker of Emery Rose Photography, who's been named Best in Gwinnett by Gwinnett Magazine for the past 6 years. We've actually covered professional bull riding. We just covered that a week ago. And yes, we kind of get up close and personal. No, you will not see me riding a bull anytime soon. Do not get that idea. But we're so close to where when the bulls are running around, they're kicking dirt, and there's like dirt that'll fly in our direction. But I'm trying to think. But then minor league baseball. So like you said, my 3rd book that I did, Nothing Minor, is focusing on my first year covering minor league baseball back in 2019. So I covered minor league teams in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi. A number of the players I interviewed either did play and have since retired, or are playing Major League Ball. It's the game recaps, the player interviews, and then I did a special section on the Negro Southern League Museum based in Birmingham, because a lot of people, first off, don't know it's there, but second, their archives are almost as comparable to the museum that gets a lot more attention in Kansas City. And then another part of that book is the interview I did with one of the umpire supervisors, who is based in Denver, Colorado, but we found out we were born in the same town in Illinois, and our parents went to the same church.
Oh wow!
But we were like little, and he's
like
bigger. We're not kidding to my thing. But one of the things I liked about doing with the book Nothing Minor is trying to interview as many African American players as possible. We know those numbers have dramatically declined, I'll say, since the 1980s, especially with the advent of your remote camps out in other countries where you can sign players at a younger age and for less money. But a number of the African American players I interviewed that are currently on major league rosters include Taylor Trammell, who's now with the Houston Astros. But at the time I interviewed him, he was with the Cincinnati Reds system. Tuki Toussaint, who's actually of Caribbean heritage, but he's seen Major League time with the Braves, Arizona Diamondbacks, Chicago White Sox. Tyler Stevenson, who is currently playing with the Cincinnati Reds. He's the starting catcher for them. So some of the players I interviewed are actually still on Major League rosters and
That's awesome.
are contributors. So that's, yeah, just a fun experience.
Yeah, no, totally. I can imagine. And so we're here in this beautiful store, and you
Yes.
see all of these authors, all of these books.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, what author, what book actually
Oh,
truly
gosh.
inspired you on your author journey?
There's a number. The ones that immediately come to mind include As a Man Thinketh, which really is applicable for both men and women. And it's not a long book. It's maybe like a 60-page book, but the concept of what you put in your head is going to show up in some way, shape, or form. So you got to be real careful about what you allow residency for. So that's not just on a philosophical end, which is kind of where the book leans. That's on a faith end
That's
too. Be
serious,
conscious
yeah.
of what you allow to have residency in your head. Another book, obviously Dr. Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Two others that I'll speak to. Nathan McCall, who's a name that should be familiar because he's from this area. His autobiography Makes Me Want to Holler. Very powerful book. Ralph Wiley, the late Ralph Wiley, who was a writer for Sports Illustrated and used to be on ESPN Sports Reporters. Why Black People Tend to Shout. And then one of the follow-ups, What Black People Need to Do. It's like Voices from the Vanguard, which are some great social, political commentary and essays. You would not think someone who was a sports journalist would be that insightful. And even now, like one of the chapters of one of his books, and I kid around with it from people I know from DC, he said DC stands for DAMN, confusion. And you can read between the lines on that one. You can figure that one out. But those are some of the authors that immediately come to mind. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, of course, faith-wise, the Bible. I mean,
Of course.
to me, you kind of, that's
Yeah,
kind
God
of,
was looking down at you like,
God was looking at me like I had
"You
to
better
save
me."
I had to save the best for last because, like I said,
Okay.
the lesson I've already learned today: do not block your blessings,
Amen.
and I'm not trying to block. So
Okay, he's like, remember you have to fly home.
exactly,
Okay.
sure do. I want to fly home.
God ain't playing with you, okay?
God ain't pleased.
No, 100%. And so I do have a question because times have changed dramatically. You spoke on when you were a child, reading this really big book, and now we're in an era now where, let's be honest, kids aren't reading the way that we grew up reading. And so speak on what you believe the future of books are. Like, where do you feel like books will be in the next 10 years?
I'm gonna say this: they will have a presence as long as we demand they have a presence. And I say that from the lens of, we know reading helps build your vocabulary, it builds your critical and creative thinking skills, just your imagination. Like, you think of some of these things that came out the blue. Who came up with this concept or this idea? There was something that sparked some person's, let's say, curiosity. And where's a great place to spark curiosities? From reading a book. It's coming to your independent bookstores. No knock on your independent bookstores.
Yeah.
That's where it has to start, and that's what we have to support. I think a way to help bridge to the vocabulary and all that, and this is something I use when I taught even middle schoolers. As much as we knock picture books and comic books, those are arguably some of the best ways to spark interest.
Yeah.
And when you ask a young person to describe, what do you see? And that's such a simple question, that's a powerful question. They might see because the people look like them through ethnic background or gender or the creative things they're talking about, they can identify with. So as simple as it sounds, if we're going to connect with younger folks and to use a concept from education, meet people where they are and give them the moderate challenge. Let's start elementary, middle, even high school picture books, because that could spark all of a sudden your next artist.
Yeah.
And not just traditional, that could be your graphic or digital artist. That could be someone who's now all of a sudden a patron of the arts and supporting your art education or your music education.
Yeah.
So let's start there, and then let's build on the things that lean more towards, let's say, vocabulary and some of those harder concepts.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, if they're getting the supplement here, now when they see it in the classroom, it's like, wait a minute, I've done this before. This isn't hard. I need something to challenge me.
Absolutely.
And now there's going to be polite pressure on that education wheel. I got to challenge this kid. I've got to challenge them to make them grow and continue to develop their skill sets. So it's going to come down to, if we demand and push and encourage those outlets who are making efforts. And yeah, I'm going to brag on the bookstore where I'm sitting in. They have programs for kids on Saturdays. They just had someone in here last Saturday, and correct me if I'm wrong, at least 2 Saturdays a month. So if the community demands it, maybe it could be 3. I'm just saying, maybe it could be. It could be. It could be. So continue to demand and look at the folks who are doing it, whether they're a children's author or they have these opportunities, support them. Exactly. Thank you. I got an endorsement from the, I got an amen from the congregation. And let's look at how we can do some of the things here as a bridge builder. So now all of a sudden you have folks that feel like they can move in whatever audience. If they want to go into more academia, they can. If they want to go straight into HVAC or whatever, now we're giving them a foundation, a better launch point to do it.
I'm such a visual type of person. As you're speaking, I see like a book flag behind you. And like, I just want to vote for you for like the book mayor. Like, I don't even know if that's a such thing, but it should be.
The
okay?
mayor of Book City, like the mayor of our city. I got
you
it.
now. That's your new title. Run with it, okay?
Book City. Okay,
Run
got you.
with it, okay? Okay, so you just spoke, greatly. I hope someone got something out of it. And so it may be someone sitting here right now that's an inspiring author that want to write books, that want to do audio books. Maybe they have an amazing voice, etc. What steps will one take to get started?
Oh, I love that question. As you know, the hardest part is getting started. This is what I would tell anybody. Just get in the habit of writing, and that looks different for different people. One of the easiest things to do is run down the street, get one of those old school composition books, carry it around with you. And even if it's a simple exercise, whether it's the beginning of the day, the end of the day, and actually this reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine earlier today. What made your day positive? What made your day negative? Just think about that one question and go ahead and write. And don't write like the perfect thing. Just go ahead and put it out there. Yeah. And now what happens is when you go back through that composition book or whatever and you flip back through it, chances are there's going to be something in there that you wrote that's really going to hit home, or it's really speaking to something you're going through, or something that you've seen someone else go through. And just like in education, we talk about hook and hold. There's something that brings you in and there's something that keeps you in. Somewhere in that composition book, or if you want to use the notes feature on your cell phone or your tablet, or you like hearing the sound of your voice and you use your voice notes, there's something that you wrote that's going to hook at you. It's going to keep you up at night. That's going to drive you into what you do. And the beauty now, if you want to develop that into a series of poems, do it. Nothing says you can't.
Yeah.
Or all of a sudden you feel like, I want to write about part of my life story. Nothing says you can't, because chances are, in principle, somebody else out there has gone through something that you're talking about, but you're helping find the words for them. And eventually they'll find the words for themselves to be able to do it. So those would be simple things, but it's not like I'm going to sit in master class, well, the way you do it is no. I'm going to just say this. Develop the habit, that whatever that looks like to you. Once you develop the habit, the idea that keeps pulling at you, that's where you're going to dive in and do more of your writing. And people have asked me about things. And I'll say this, don't think you gotta cram everything into one book. If you're gonna talk about your life story or do a memoir, who's to say you don't do a book that focuses on you being a teenager, then maybe you hitting your 40s, or now you're old and, well, I'm not going to say old, you are seasoned and refined, because I want to walk out of here in one piece. You're seasoned and refined, so now you talk about how it feels to be seasoned and refined, but don't think you've got to put your entire life story or your topic on overcoming this or whatever. Don't think you got to cram everything into one, and especially in today's era and times, you could split it up into a smaller series, which is going to be an easier draw for the people that don't want to read or don't like to read. And now it's like, wait, I want to find out more. So now you think you have to cram that one idea in, you break it up into something. It's almost like when you go out to eat, you get what? Your appetizer. You get a little of that, you get your entree, a little bit of that. If you see you ate too much, you're going to go ahead and get a to-go box and reheat it the next day. So don't think you got to cram your great idea into one thing. Break it up into smaller pieces, and now all of a sudden you got a series. And you'll have people circling back and running back. So, that's hopefully that makes sense to people. Hopefully that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And so just a question. So some people will want to do something they may have the passion for, but they may be in a relationship or in a household with people who maybe don't support it or don't motivate it. You're in a relationship now, and
I heard.
I heard it's a wild work. Okay, Angela's sitting at home like, okay, you're the head, little Bible. But okay, so what would you say, first of all, if you're dating a person or you're in a relationship with someone, and this is specifically for you first.
Okay.
When you were out here dating before you found someone that you wanted to take more serious, is that something that's important to you that person read?
Does that person read? I'm gonna say this, they don't have to read to the degree that I do, but you have to have something. Like it's almost like you want to have somebody who's like, I'm gonna help you look both ways before you cross the street, versus they're looking around one way and you're out here out on an island. I'm gonna say this, just if I can, the general concept of support. Whether you're married, engaged, you have a helpmate, what have you, it hits differently when your partner or helpmate, they don't have to understand every detail, but if they understand you've identified something that allows you to grow constructively, it's helping you grow professionally, community-wise, faith-wise, so they don't have to understand every little detail. Heck, I don't understand every little detail of what you do. But having said all that, when you observe like what you do and you're having these positive growth opportunities as your friend, I'm like, I'm gonna support you because I see something positive. And I think all of us in here, whether you're in a relationship or you're not, when you have those people of immediate contact that are like, I don't understand it, but I see the positive things you're trying to do, I will do what I can as best as possible to support. It hits different. It hits different when those people who are supposed to be your helpmate, they're being destructively critical, and now you're at a crossroads because you're like, do I shut down something that I've identified will allow me to grow? Or do I do it and just try and maneuver and navigate through, and at some point will someone say, you know what, I'm gonna support you as best as possible. So all I'm gonna say is this, and to borrow from a young hip hop artist out of New Orleans, Lareezy, who pay attention to him. This is a kid who's like 20, 21. His current album, PJ Morton, is backing that. That's big. That's big. And for Essence Festival, among the people that he was talking with included Nas and other artists. And he talked about pursuing your dreams. And I'm gonna say this, and it might ruffle some feathers, but I'm the youngest in the family. That's what we do. So that was your cue to laugh. I know, bad joke, but I'm gonna say this. I would rather pursue my dream, and if it doesn't work out, I can live with it because I made the attempt, versus me never doing it and always wondering what if. And we're all gonna have enough what ifs. I'm trying to minimize the what ifs while I am here.
Yeah.